This is a Honda CBR125 and it looks really nice. Repsol colours, colour matched wheels, super nice bike, but there's a key problem, and that is the front forks are severely bent backwards. So I'm going to remove this panel so I can show you a little bit closer. The front forks there are shaped like a banana, so that's not good. So I'm going to change them on this video. Firstly, I need to remove this front mud guard and disconnect the front brake, undo some bolts up at the top there. So let's get to it. So I've got the bike leant up on its side stand with the front in the air, and I will see if I can remove the front wheel, front forks, and get access to those forks to see if I can change them. So there's the first one, and it's pretty bent. There's no saving this one, so I will try to switch out this piece. So while I'm in here, I might as well change this fork seal cap, which is kind of deteriorated on the old one. So I'll put it on the new fork leg first, which is this one. So put it on the right way around, and then I'll leave that fork leg like that. And then if I can just capture the key moment on camera. So I've got my fork leg, and I'm just going to place this guy back over. So I do it this way up, it's much easier. And then it should be possible just to line up the bolt here at the bottom, feed that in, and then it's best to do this bit by hand to get the bolt seated. If you use a power tool too early, it can cause you a lot of problems. So it is quite tricky to seat this guy in. You just have to sort of jiggle it around until everything lines up. So there it is, it's happened now. So I find it much better to put these in by hand first of all, and then tighten up at the end with the power tool. So my fork leg here is ready to go back onto the bike, and I'll just push it up, back up through these two yokes, and I will need to refill the fluid, but it's much easier once it's on the bike because you can clamp down these bolts to hold the fork leg in place, and then it's easier to turn this guy at the top. So I'll do that at the end when I've changed out both of these forks. So now it is time to, what I do here is I'm going to tighten this one up, then I can put the front wheel back in and bolt it from this side, and then I can rest the bike back down on the floor. Because if I take away this fork leg right now, then this handlebar won't be in place, so there'll be nothing to rest the bike on, and I do not want to damage my tank. So wheel back on, down on the floor, then take this one off and change it over in the same way. To refill the forks with oil, which is needed for the damping effect, you have to remove the cap here, which is just a 17mm socket, and then it opens up and it's like this. And then you get some fork oil like this from Halfords, £5, and refill, and it takes 221mm per side. So I pre-measure in the bottle and then just empty the whole thing into the fork leg. I was a bit low this time around, so I had to mix in a little bit of the old stuff, but it was in pretty good condition, so that's not a big deal. So my oil is in there now, so I can just put the cap back on here. I have got those new forks fitted and everything is looking pretty good, so I need to reassemble this front end. There's quite a bit of work to do, so let's get to it. Time to start reassembling the bike. I have done a bit of work off camera to fix this front assembly and it's good to go now. So I can just plug that guy back in there, throw these two bolts in, and we should be good to go. I've put some wiring back into the front. Now I need to put the front brake back on before the clocks go on, because it can be really tricky. So the best way to do it, I find, is to have the handlebars locked over to the right hand side there, and then easier with two hands, but I'll try and show it with one hand. I just want to feed up this whole master cylinder up to the right hand side of the clock's subframe, and then I can pull all of that stuff through, and then it will just bolt on there like that. The lever has to go under the throttle cable, and then it will just clamp in place there, and then I can put the caliper on down there afterwards. While this brake is off of the bike, I would want to give it a little clean up. So if I pump this master cylinder, you can see that the pistons come out, and so what that does is it allows me to get my WD-40, and be careful not to spray onto the actual brake pads, but with a bit of WD just soaking around the master cylinder, the pistons, and it has gone on the pads. I'll clean that off afterwards, but I won't show it fully on camera because it's a bit tricky with one hand. But what I need to do is just get my screwdriver and force these pads apart again, and then that will kind of clean up the pistons by pushing them back in. Ideally I'd kind of remove these pistons and give them a proper clean up with sandpaper, but this is a good second best. If you're doing this at home, it's a nice easy way to get your bike to flow more freely. So I'll do this now off camera and then put the caliper back onto the bike. To put the front mudguard back on, I need to firstly get this piece, which I've repainted, and then this goes through here, and then I can just feed through these little bolts. Looking good for the front mudguard, and front is looking good as well, so time to put on the side fairings. Things are looking good for this bike. I've finished all of the bits that I'm going to do today, and it's pretty much done. The only thing I need is this belly panel, which is missing, and I don't have one with me right now, and also the mirror on this side was broken, so I've just taken it off. But other than that, this bike is pretty much good to go. So I'll start the engine again. Starts up well. Sounds super cool. Nice big exhaust there. 22,000 miles on the clock. So pretty nice overall. I like the paint job. It's Miller 43. Don't know who that is, but I like it. Got this single seat conversion as well, so a nice tidy bike. So this one is good to go, will be up for sale very soon. Thanks for watching my video. See you again on the next one.